Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another Sue's Muse. I am Sue Matsuki, and today my muse is a very dear friend. And full disclosure, she's also a colleague here at NiteLife Exchange, which I'll talk about in a little while. But please welcome my special guest, Kati Neiheisel. Thank you so much, Kati, for being here. I appreciate it. It's early in
Thank
the
you,
morning
Sue.
here, just so you know. Early for me on a Sunday.
Me too. You might hear that in my voice.
Yeah, I have a little rasp myself. So I want to ask you, I want to start out by asking you how you heard about cabaret and how you came to be this upcoming uprising star that you are. Tell me a little bit about your background.
Well, I've always been interested in singing with my family. Everyone in my family sings in some way, even if that's just
And
walking
tell us
around
how
the
many are in your family?
house. I grew up in Cincinnati, and there were 10 of us kids, and my two parents come from a very large extended family. My father was one of 13, and they all stayed in Cincinnati. So I don't even know how many cousins anymore. But we all lived close to each other in the same neighborhood, and most of us went to the same church, so we all sang in church and we sang in school. But as I mentioned in my Carpenter show recently, on Sundays we would go to church in shifts and then come home and listen to America's Top 40, and that's real. I mean, we just would spend the rest of the time listening to that, having brunch, singing. Yeah, so music's just been important. Growing up, would sing with with different groups of people. So at one point in a band in high school, but we never really made it out of somebody's garage. But then when I as I got older, it sort of drifted away in the time of trying to make a living. And I also went to art school. I painted and printmaking, and there I just got the urge to sing again, but I have stage fright and have been shy. So I was inspired, though, because my brother Albert, who has Down syndrome, he loves to sing, and he sang in my sister Vicky's rock band. She invited him up to sing with her on his 40th birthday. It's been 12 years now. And watching video of him singing and how much joy he gets out of singing, and he doesn't care what anybody else thinks. He's just having a good time. And then he says, "I'm the greatest singer." He
Oh.
has so much fun. Inspired me to sing and see what I could do with it. And I remembered that I had seen this clip on the Today Show about Katie Couric, you know, wanting to become a cabaret singer, at
Yeah, I
least
remember that actually.
for a
Yeah.
weekend or something. And she took a class with Helen Baldessari. So that I saw that, I don't know how many years ago, but it took me years later to remember that and find that article on the New York Times. And so I signed up for a class with Helen Baldessari in 2012, and started doing that. It was wonderful. I met a lot of great people, and I met my musical director, Gregory Troyan, who I'm still working with, and just went from there. I intended to just do a one class and do a performance, and then that would be it. But then I started to see the shows that my classmates were doing and other people were doing, and how they were improving and getting better. And I met more people, and it's just kept
So
expanding.
tell me what the name of your first few shows were. I know that we're leading up to the brand new show you're going to be offering, but what's the progression of the shows that you did?
Well, it took me 5 years from my first cabaret class, but I did Among the Stars was my debut show in 2017. That was with Deb Berman directed that. I met Deb Berman and Susan Winter at the Metropolitan Room through their open mic, and they were very supportive of me. And I missed that open mic. It was wonderful. Um, as another person with a great open mic. So Deb Berman was a wonderful intro to me into doing a show, because I knew her so well, and she was kind of she knew what I should be doing and pushed me a lot. And so that was great. And that show led to That Holiday Feeling, which was a Christmas show that I worked with. Jeff Stoner was the director. And then I did over COVID, once we got back, we did Maria Corsaro and I worked together on a couple duo shows. And one of them we did online from Gregory's studio.
Mhm.
And then another we did live at Pangea called Love Is. And over COVID, I also started working on a Carpenter show because I was still employed over COVID and other people weren't. And so I was trying to think of ways to let's keep going.
I just
And
want to say as an aside, Katie's voice is so stellarly beautiful and very Karen Carpenter-like in her lower register. It's an extraordinary instrument. And she never sings out of tune. I've never heard this girl sing out of tune ever, even in class or rehearsal. She's got an amazing voice. So it was a really beautiful match. But what made that show extra special really was Gregory's reimagined arrangements and your ability to sing them of Carpenter tunes that we know today, like the back of our hands. We've listened to them all this time. So that was an extraordinary show. And now this is leading up to a new muse of yours, Julie London. Tell us a little bit about your brand new show, London by Night, that's coming up starting in August, I believe.
well, when Maria and I were doing Love Is, I sang a song called Take Love Easy. And you and Lena Kutrakis both said, hey, have you ever thought of doing a show, sort of a Julie London type thing? And as a matter of fact, I had, because Julie London was a favorite of my mother, and my father was a fan of Bobby Troup and a fan of Julie London's first husband, Jack Webb of Dragnet fame. So I knew all about them, and I knew the music, and I thought that was a great idea. So I started working on that, and it's been really fun.
I can't wait to see the show. I mean, again, Julie was a bombshell, and I think you're a bombshell, especially
Well,
when you're all glammed up. But she also suffered from stage fright too, right? Which is interesting because
yes.
her persona was so sexy and like that. So I just can't wait to see what you and Lena bring to the table with your interpretation of her work. But
Well, it's interesting that she was shy and had stage fright because she grew up with parents who were performers, and she sang when she was 3 years old on their radio show. And she was an actress from an early age, but she felt more comfortable acting or recording
mhm.
her music instead of being on stage. So yeah, it's
Yeah.
interesting. And she loved being home.
Okay,
She
tell me about the dress, or will it be a surprise? Because I know she
oh
always
well.
tore it up.
So I think I know what the dress is, but I'm still working
Okay,
on
you're
that.
going with sexy gown, I hope.
Well, it has to also, for me, I have to be comfortable because I don't want to be
Absolutely.
thinking about it. I just want to be in it and then not be
Yeah,
fussing.
I understand. That's actually a big thing. You have to be comfortable on stage for sure. So I mentioned Lena Kutrakis, your director, and also we both work with, again, full disclosure, we work with Gregory Terorian for years and have been in class with each other and everything. This is kind of a super team. Lena and Gregory are kind of a super team. They're creating like Mac and Bistro Award winners, and everyone they touch turns to gold. And I know how grateful I am for my process with them. Tell me what they mean to you and what your process has been like with them.
Well, I'm just, as you mentioned with the Carpenter show yesterday, once more, Gregory's arrangements are just a wonder. The way he arranges, it's respectful of the music and of the past,
Mhm.
but he takes things to a different level, and they're just so original and beautiful what he
Yeah, they
can
are
do with
indeed.
these songs. And then Lena, I mean, she just pulls things together that, I have all these thoughts that go all over the place, and she can just sit back and watch and listen and then crystallize it into, a
Yeah, she's
gem.
great with a red pencil, redlining your script, and
Right.
I
Right.
think she's the best at that. She's awesome at
So,
that.
right. And she's also good at telling me, how to move, where to move, and making it my own. And that's the thing too. She knows how to make it there's never like oh, I can tell that person was directed by Lena Kutrakis.
Mhm.
No.
Yeah, I agree with that because she
She
individualizes how she directs each person she works with. I think
Yes,
that's true.
and actually I could say the same about Gregory. Leslie Warren and I last year for my Yesterday Once More show, and her show, Nearsighted, I forget the full title, but the Nearsighted Girl show. We both had the same encore song, and we didn't even realize it at first because the arrangements were so different and so tailored to us that we were like, oh my gosh, we're ending with the same song. But yeah, so I have two people that you can't tell it's them.
Mhm.
They tailor so well to the performer.
What's the
Um,
last thing you say to yourself before you actually step on stage? Is there anything that goes through your mind right before you actually they hear Kati Neiheisel and brings you to stage? What do you hear?
well, the funny thing is, I work at Candid, which is a nonprofit organization, and we have offices downtown near Wall Street. And one day I was walking through my office and I saw, and we have a lot of glass walls, and I saw Lori Krause in there. I'm like, what is Lori Krause doing in that room? Well, she was doing a workshop about it wasn't generally for performers, but it was about public speaking,
Mhm.
and she and I ended up finding out what she was doing and then taking that workshop with her. And one of her things was about coming up with a word or a person that you think of before you go on stage and like claiming your superpower.
Mhm.
And my word was Albert.
Oh,
That's
because of the joy. Oh, Katie, that's
so
beautiful.
I do like the Wonder Woman and then Albert.
Oh,
Yeah,
honey,
because
I never, how long have I known you? I've never known that. That's so
well,
beautiful.
I can't say Albert's name without smiling.
I know. Well, I've seen videos of him as an elf for St. Patrick's Day. He's just
Oh,
adorable.
well, don't get me wrong. He has the full range of,
Oh, he's still a
you
brother.
know,
Come
he can
on.
be a pain in the ass, but he makes me laugh. So, yes, that's my secret superpower word.
So I wanted to ask you about, I wanted to point actually, people, Katie, I mentioned is a colleague of mine here at NiteLife Exchange. Katie has started writing this column called Who Was Where? And what she's doing is this in-depth research into clubs of yore and how they came to be and who starred there and does interviews with people. And they've been fascinating. On this page, as I post this clip, I'm going to put a link to her column because you really need to read these. If you're a New Yorker performing here in New York, you need to read these. Tell me a little bit about how that happened. Did Scott Barbarino approach you, or was it an idea you pitched? How did that happen?
Um, it came about in a roundabout way because Scott and Marilyn Lester had started doing Who Was Who. So Scott Barbarino at one point posted a question: "Who do you want to see in our column, Who Was Who?" which is about the people in cabaret that went before. And I wrote back and I said, I don't know even who to ask about. I said I am interested in who was where, what was going on in the clubs that I missed before I started doing this, because I hear people talking about them or referencing them, but I don't know everything. And I have read James Gavin's Intimate Nights, which I just happen to have here, which is fabulous.
Yeah, it is.
But you know, it's a spans a long time period. So I just wanted to know a little bit more about who played where, like especially people that I knew now, like what they did in the past. So he said, well, why don't you write that?
What clubs
So,
have you done and what's up next?
well, I started with Ted Hooks. Then I did Reno Sweeney. I did Danny's Skylight Room, and I did Jan Wallman, which Jan Wallman is a person
Yeah.
and a club, and but she was around for 50 years, you know,
She was a
starting
mentor to
upstairs at
many
the
of us, very special
duplex.
woman. Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, she did so much. I couldn't, that was a much longer article. I
Mhm.
couldn't really focus on just her club. So, and right now I just, Sydney Meyer and I finally got together to talk about his Panache and Panache
Cool.
Encore. And
We'll look forward to
so
that.
that's in the works. But and I also, as part of Who Was Who, did an article earlier this year on Barry Levitt, who was one of the musical directors that I worked with
Mhm.
early on.
That's lovely. So I want to ask you, what was the best piece of advice that you received, either personally or professionally, that you keep with you, that maybe you can share with someone else coming up?
Well, one thing is from Barry Levitt that comes to mind. Barry was fun. That was what a lot of people say about working with Barry. Barry was very childlike in his way, but
Yeah.
he also was loved performers, and he would say, like, if you were down or insecure, he would say, what are you talking about? Don't compare yourself to others. You are Kati Neiheisel. And I know he said the same thing to Dawn DeRoe because she mentioned it. You are Dawn DeRoe. So, it was like, you are Sue Matsuki. So it's like, don't look around at what anybody else is doing. You are who you are and you do your thing and don't worry about anybody else.
That's
So,
perfect.
so that comes to mind, along with so much advice, of course, from Gregory and Lena and you and so many other people. But that just is the first thing that pops into my mind.
So I want to just share this beautiful postcard that Kati, oh, wait a minute, I lost you. Where are you? There you go. Here and share you. So this is coming up. Can you see it, Kati?
Yes, I can. And that's
Okay.
a photograph, of course, taken by Helene Bloomfield, who is just amazing photographer.
Well, as you can see, Kati's upcoming dates for London by Night at Pangea are Saturday, August 24th, Thursday, September 26th, and Friday, October 18th, all at 7 p.m. I hope I'll see you all there. Kati, honey, thank you so much
Sue.
for spending a few minutes with me and being my muse for today. I can't wait to see this new show. I know it's going to be fabulous. Thank you, everyone, for joining us, and I hope we see you again very soon. Have a great day.
Bye.